Today's episode of In the Trenches is brought to you by System 12 Guitar Method. Sign up today at ryanroxie.com.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Hello, and welcome to another live stream episode of In the Trenches. I am your host, Ryan Roxie, and as you can tell, I am on location right now. I'm at the Man's Ruin Tattoo Parlor in Asheville, North Carolina. Damn, I got all that out in one sentence. But, you know, they have been so supportive, Alice, over the years, and they've been so nice to loan their tattoo parlor out for today's podcast because the Wi-Fi at the hotel kind of sucked. But we are on a show tonight and headed down to Cherokee, North Carolina. But guess what? If this is your first time tuning in to In the Trenches, hit that subscribe button right now. There it is right there below. Vic Chalfant, just put it up there. If you're listening to us on one of the audio broadcasts, which is Apple or Spotify, any of those, thank you very much. But today you want to see us in full living color, go to Ryan Roxie Official on our YouTube channel. That's where we like to have you at. So shall we begin? I've wanted to have our guest on for a long time now. I started following him on the old Instagram a while back, and I found his posts to be funny, heartfelt, and inspiring. The more I saw, the more I wanted to know about his journey in the world of comedy. Very similar to the journey of rock and roll, I can imagine. The ups, the downs, the in-betweens. And here to talk about them all, welcome into the trenches, the king of prop, Carrot Top. Hello,
Carrot man, Top. That was very moving. Thank you. I appreciate you. And well, thanks for all the
love. It went better in rehearsal. I thought it went better in rehearsal.
Thanks for all the love. Yeah, I tried. You know, it was fun during the COVID shutdown. Like everybody, there was nothing to do, and so I'd sit at home and try to think of something a day, something funny per day, or maybe even something emotional during the day to keep people kind of letting them know that I'm in the same boat as they are during all this weird time. So. It was fun to grow my fan base in a way where people like, oh, I didn't know much about you, so they liked it.
So that's when you kind of.
Am I in the shot right? By the way,
a little bit. There you go. Perfect.
Right there.
There you go. Yeah. I want to get the whole shot. You don't want the cruel crop where
right there
goes, hello. Let's do the whole interview like this.
Is that better?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Not the half shot. Not the.
Carrot Top is on the In the Trenches. I'm telling you, I've wanted you. For a while now, and the more I did the research on you, oh well, thank you very much. We are the same age. We have a lot of similarities going on. We have a huge connection with Rockledge, Florida, Cocoa Beach, Florida. Although you grew up there, you're born and raised, grew up there. My dad, there. Whoa!
Look at that!
Just put up a
Rockledge, Florida, right there.
Google Maps. To the rescue. But my dad and his wife and my 2 or 3 stepbrothers and half brothers, whatever you want to call them. I love them, but they all live in the Rockledge, Cocoa Beach, and now Winter Park area, which you are now a part of. So right out of the gate, just besides the movie Identity Theft, that is the only how you would know Winter Park. We actually have a connection with Winter Park, Florida.
Yeah, actually, they ripped on it in the movie. They made it look like it was a trailer park, crappy town. Opening scene came in Winter Park, Florida, trailer park, and I was at the movie theater, looked around like they must not know Winter Park. There's no trailer parks in Winter Park. But
that was early Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman career.
Yeah,
but, and McCarthy as well, right?
As well, yeah. She was one of her first movies.
That's good. And you said you guys actually made a movie.
I made a movie with her in Atlanta, and I got cut out of it. And the funny thing was, I played a centaur, so I was basically on a set for 2 days, half naked, for green screen for this horse. And the guy they couldn't have been nicer. Like all this work that takes to put into a centaur and stand there naked in front of the whole staff for 2 days. You'll definitely be in the movie, and then I'm not in the movie.
Well, I'm just wondering how they wrote the centaur into the script, and then definitely cast you.
Dream. She was having she ate some soup that gave her hallucinations. So she went to this restaurant and she ate the soup, and then she went for a walk home, and she's like walking, and then she's having these acid trip things, and she goes, "What the hell, Carrot Top, a centaur?" And I'm like, hello, and it was like
that was the thing that nobody could handle. That was the thing that the
yeah. She called me directly and said, "Will you be a centaur in my movie?" And I said, "Yeah, sure."
But somehow it didn't make final cut. Somehow the director was like, he was just overwhelmed.
But the director called me directly and said, "Man, they couldn't have been nicer about it, But there's 2 movies that I filmed in Atlanta, and both movies I was cut out of. So I never am going to film another movie in Atlanta.
Well, you get paid for those things, right? I mean,
yeah, but you want to be in them after your heart and soul's in there, and then it comes out. You're like, damn it. I'm not in the movie.
Even at the end of the movie, when they always run those clips of the bloopers,
they should have run a blooper of me and the centaur. You're right.
I think Carrot Top and Centaur is definitely a box office draw in itself.
I think we should have. Where were you when we thought it'd been a great idea? We had that.
We're going to talk a little bit more about movies a little bit later, but first we have to go back to get forward. So Vic, let's hit that. And we're doing a little condensed version of going back to get forward because we know that we are a little pressed for time today. That's okay. We're going to squeeze it in. Sometimes it's long form. Sometimes we have hard outs. And today is one of those hard outs. So I'm going to move right along and say, you said you started out with 2 trunks and a strobe light, then built it up to 35 trunks and an 18-wheeler. What has been the most rewarding part about that journey?
I mean, just seeing the show evolve in a sense. I mean, honestly, from starting out, even before I had 2 trunks, I had like one little box. I had like a shoe box I'd pull up on stage, and then I had a trunk. Wow. And then I had then I had 2 trunks, and then I just started. I always wanted to be what you do. I always wanted to be in a band, and I thought being a comic was one thing, but I wanted the show to feel and look like rock and roll. So I started adding strobe lights and we just added a snow machine for the Olympics this week for Olympic joke. So I wanted all the bells and whistles and a strobe light and a snow machine and a fog machine and a wind machine. And so and then the most important thing that I added was the big video wall behind me. So before we had all the jokes and props and things would be me holding. And then I thought, I could use the back wall, the video wall, to express some jokes in another way, right behind me. Like there's a boom. Like I do a joke. I use that screen probably, 75 to 100 times a night with a joke.
Right.
One joke, the newest joke I just did was, if you haven't seen this movie on Hulu, it's a great movie, and I learned a lot on this movie. There's 3 things you can see from outer space. And I look at the screen and I show the Luxor light. And that's one thing you can see. And the second picture comes up, it's the Great Wall of China. And the third picture is Tommy Lee's dick. So it's a great joke. And then we put the sound effect of a horse.
Of course, that's on the big
Tommy
screen.
Lee's, and it's a great way to utilize that space for a joke. So I'm not just saying it; they're getting visual stimulation.
Yeah, you're getting an actual visual of Tommy Lee's dick, and it's not a prop. It's not an actual prop. Yeah, that would be something, though.
Hey, Fred said, hey, what's up, Freddie?
Oh, yeah, you're getting live comments the whole time. So if you want to veer off to any of those. Can you remember your first prop?
Yes, and being from Florida, my first prop. Well, I remember the first prop I did on stage, the very first prop I made. The very first prop I went on stage with was a neighborhood crime watch sign that I'd stolen. And I went on stage and I said, sorry, I'm late. I was in the neighborhood. And then it killed. And I said, how good is their crime watch system if then I'm watching the signs? Forget your house. I'm out there digging the sign out of there. So that was the first joke I did on stage. The very first prop was living in Florida, all the old people. I had an old lady's head on top of a spring. So when they drove, you'd see their head above the seat in the car.
And is it true that you first... you drew the first version of your Carrot Top logo when you were in college before?
Yeah. I was in my dorm room. I never forget it. Like it was yesterday. It was too many years ago. But I had a Sharpie and paper, and I was drawing something. My roommate came in and said, what is that? And I said, it's a logo. And he said, for what class? A marketing class? They're making you draw logos? What is it? I said, it's a carrot holding a microphone. And the guy's like, what? And I said, yeah, I'm making a prop or a logo for my comedy career. And he says, you're not a comic. I said, I know, but the hard part's done. I got the logo. So
logo's half the battle, dude. You know that.
Yeah. So I said,
coming up with a band name is half the battle, right?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and to say it's a blessing and a curse. I went with Carrot Top, you know, and it's been great. And then some days I'm like, what have I done? Why have I called myself Carrot? I could probably picked a cooler name, but yeah, Carrot Top stuck for all these years, and it's worked out.
It has stuck, and definitely that's what's, to me, one of the most inspiring things is the longevity of it, and that's the reason why I created In the Trenches podcast. And it doesn't just refer to musicians that have been in the trenches for all these years. You yourself in the trenches since, I think, 1985. Is that where it all kicked off?
85, yeah. So that's kind of the coolest thing for me as I've gotten older. Is I think, my God, I've been in this for 36 years, and you look back on it when you're just thinking about trying to be a comedian. I remember being in Titusville, in my dad's bathroom, just holding a microphone, rehearsing jokes. There I am, right there. Wow, that was yesterday. The water's very hard here.
I own that actual thermal undershirt. It's still kind of hip for me to wear, and I've needed it this last week being on the tour in the Midwest. So that's why we ran the Ice Storm, folks. Alice Cooper Band is on tour, heading down to the Monsters of Rock cruise a little bit later this week. We are actually traveling through Carrot Top's hometown of the area of Orlando, Florida. We will be there sometime next week, so check the Alice Cooper tour, or if you want to check out ryanroxie.com. Of course, there's shameless plugs in it for me every once in a while, Carrot Top, but don't worry. It's all about you at the
No, I don't care. I might be at your show because I'll be in Orlando next week.
You definitely are welcome, and you'll get carte blanche. You will have to get something stuffed up your nose in a in a testing way. That sounds very wrong. If I would have said that in the 80s or 90s, it might have been a totally different thing. But you will have to get something stuffed up your nose just to get tested and just get in.
That's fine.
So there you go.
At least it's up my nose. Kind of a weird testing you have here.
Well, I want to talk about the fact that you've given your comedy show the feeling of a rock and roll, like a rock and roll band show, big rock show, if you will. You said that. What was that always your plan, or what band sort of inspired that?
Oh no, day one. I'm not kidding. So when I was trying to do comedy, I was an oyster shucker in Orlando. I was shucking oysters at a place called Calico Jack's, and they had a jukebox, and that's how old I am. The jukebox was in there, right? So I would always play the jukebox. I always pick the songs like Aerosmith and Michael Jackson and the Rolling Stones. And definitely Aerosmith, Stones, and Michael Jackson when some of them were staples. And I would dance behind the bar shucking oysters and doing these stupid little like imitations of Steven Tyler and Mick Jagger, and I'd moonwalk down to get the thing, and the bar always loved it, right? So when I started putting together like my comedy act, I said, I want the show to leave with this kind of a rock and roll feel. So I put together a little montage, literally, of those things, like Aerosmith, Michael Jackson, and I ended on Mick Jagger, strutting across the stage with his logo on a cape and stuff. And so that was really probably from day one. I had already tried to figure out a way to have a comedy rock and roll show. So when the show was the comedy was over, hey, here's a thing with a thing on it, I'd say, you want to rock out? And they'd be like, yeah. I was like, what? And then the lights would go dark, and the lights would come back up, and I'd be dressed as whoever it was.
So you were doing basically the Tom Cruise, what is it, the bar tricks?
Yeah, except doing
Cocktail. I think that was that movie.
Cocktail, except doing it with costumes, and then in the show I
oysters.
Then I put on, but it's quick changes. It'd be like, lights go down, I'm already changing into the hat and the glove, and lights will come back up, and I'm Michael Jackson, and then now I have got like Kiss heads, and so it was kind of a staple of my show. But even when I started really like in little bars, people would love that part of the show because it was so loud, and it was music, and they left there feeling like they came to a concert as opposed to a comedy show.
Right. It sounds like a place that might have like sawdust on the floor. Did it?
Well, yes, they did.
And I'm sure both of us have played many a club that's had sawdust on the floor.
Oh yeah, I played in an attic one time in Boca Raton, Florida. I got to the gig and I said, "Where's the stage?" And the guy points up at this like loft, and I said, "Where's the stage?" He said, "Right there." So it was above the bar, and I said, "Well, how am I going to get my props up there?" He says, "I don't know." So my friend would sit down and throw up each prop, and I would do it, and then I'd throw it down. He'd throw it. It was maybe one of the most hell gigs I've ever in my life.
No, I completely understand. I remember, and it wasn't that long ago. See, you're talking early days. For me, it wasn't like maybe like 4 years ago. I played an acoustic gig in Greece where I asked them where the stage was, and it was a two-tiered club, upstairs and a downstairs. They had me set up on the middle platform of the staircase going up and down. So not only were people going up, walking up and down behind me during the show, I'm sit on this small little like platform in the middle so I could reach the audience that didn't really want to hear my stuff on the below or the top. So
Jesus.
So yeah, I know that.
That's pretty funny. I mean, that's crazy.
Thessaloniki, Greece. Have you been able to perform your comedy all over the world? And if you have,
I've been to Mississippi.
Well, that's pretty much all over the world for people that are from Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't gone world, anything outside too much. One, just we don't, I don't comedy. The translation is a little different with music. I have been asked to go to like Australia and some other places, but we haven't really yet gone.
But you haven't toured yet. You haven't toured internationally yet. But
not internationally, no. We
all over the
I
States.
think the furthest we've gone to do our show is in Canada. Can we drive up there? But
all right. But see, in a way, you're kind of like you're already where you're based out of right now. It is sort of not We Are the World, but it's a small world of of the world because everybody comes to Las Vegas,
right?
And you've been the king of Vegas since like way early on. Like when I found out you've been doing a residency there since 2005. Is that true?
Yeah, we started prior to that even. This is our 16th year at the Luxor, and we had 10 years at the MGM. So it's been and one at Bally. So it's been a long journey. There's home.
And where's Tommy Lee's penis?
Right there, right in the center of that. Yeah,
you can still see it if you look hard enough. Yeah, but I mean, that's incredible that you've done Vegas for as long as you have, because, I'd like to think that, Alice Cooper started, there you are with the Blue Man Group. And, is there a camaraderie with
no, we hate each other and no one talks.
Oh, go back to that picture there, because you may all be bruised up and stuff like that. But
oh no, the good you go. Blue Man Group was there, Tape Face and Pup, Penn and Teller, Terry Fader.
Are these
yeah, I did like a celebration of my 16 years, and a lot of these people came out and did some nice things. We put together like a little mini skit per se.
That's cool. I heard,
but there's a lot of camaraderie. I mean, people like, the shows that there are those guys that are permanent residencies, and then you have these residencies that come through that like Aerosmith there for like 2 weeks, or they call those residencies, but they're not really there long enough to get. I know them. They actually came to the show. We got to be good friends, which is kind of cool. They're great guys. They're long enough where we almost had the Shine Down last night was going to come, but they had to cancel last minute. But
we'll be out in March and April. I promise you that I'm coming to the show, and hopefully I'll be able to bring Alice and anybody else in the band that wants to come. So
that'd be cool.
But I was thinking you did have sort of a good relationship with Celine Dion.
I've met her many times. Yeah, she can't be nicer. We met. In fact, we met when I was in Orlando, and I was at her show at the Orlando Arena, and it's when her husband was alive. He came over to me and said, "We're big fans. Would you like to meet Celine Dion?" And I said, "No, not really." And he said, "Oh, really?" I said, "No, of course I would." So he walked me back, and sure enough, it was years ago. And she says, "We're such big fans of yours." So we've known each other for a long time. Yeah, Shania Twain is she came to the show, and we're like besties. She can't be sweeter.
She's great. Yeah. I mean, she's been around for a long time. I remember playing a place in Canada where she was from, her hometown, and she had a hotel where she had the Shania Twain suite, and that's where Alice was able to stay at there. So
nice.
But I want to get back to Celine Dion, because the rumor on the street, and could be one of our fact or fictions that we actually do, Vic. There's a rumor, that urban legend going around, that part of Celine Dion's materials from her palatial house was used in your palatial house. Is that true? Or
this is true.
Fact, folks. There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, I guess when they built Celine Dion's big old house out here in Vegas, the guys that built that house ended up building this house that I'm living in, and so they had all this leftover stuff from Celine Dion. It's all these beams and all tile that I have. So it's kind of an eclectic. The house is such an eclectic house because it's all different. Every like room has different tile, and that's the reasoning why. Because they had all this leftover stuff really, and said, "What do we do with it?" They said, "Let's build a little mini casa." So they built this house, and I happened to find it one day. They had just finished building it, and I had looked at so many homes, and I said, "Wow, this is it. This is so me." And that's before they even told me that it was all that stuff. I just thought it was a cool looking house. And
I like your candelabra in the back. I mean,
yeah, pretty cool.
Chandelier.
Yeah, cool, right? Should be an organ here.
Our tour manager Caesar would call it a candelabra.
Yes.
But I do like the thing in the bag. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It has a nice darkish vibe to it a little bit. My question. Okay, you have this camaraderie with a lot of the Vegas players and a lot of the guys that do long-standing shows. Is there anyone out there that kind of shuns or kind of just stays to his own? And I'm not going to plant any seeds. I'm not going to I'm not going to stir the pot, if you will. But I just have an idea that maybe Criss Angel has a little bit of a tude. Is that true?
It has a little bit of what?
A little bit of an attitude, Criss Angel.
Oh, he's sitting right here. Let me ask him.
Chris. Oh shit! Oh,
do you think about that? Do you hear that?
No, we actually always, whenever there's a glitch in the matrix or somebody's when we play cards on the way to the next town and we're playing cards, Alice will actually deal the cards, and whenever there's any sort of card that flips up a certain way or this and that, we say that's a Criss Angel deal. So I'm not sure if you hang out with him at all, or he seems like a pretty.
I mean, I don't hang out with him, but I've done many things with him and.
Many events.
Yeah, events, and then we did some things when he had his TV show. I did a whole bunch of stuff on his show. He's always been nice and reached out and asked me to be part of things.
All right, so there you go, Criss Angel, no attitude, good guy. There you
he's
go.
A good guy.
That was fiction. The sort of rumor that.
Well, I mean, to me, you always hear the things like, oh, like the guy from we were talking about earlier was nice to me. You're like, not to me. So
Well, he's nice, but he's nice. But he does take up a lot of energy. That guy.
Yes, a lot of energy.
Takes a lot of air in the room. But one of the newest sort of big headliners that's in your town these days are the Las Vegas Raiders. And anybody that knows me from growing up in the Bay Area, I grew up right outside of Oakland, California. So I've been a Raider fan my whole entire life. What's it like having an NFL team in Vegas this year? The whole vibe of the town. What do you?
Well, yeah, no, it all started with hockey because when we got the Golden Knights here, it changed this whole town. I mean, literally, it was right when everything was going through a tough time. We had a shooting here, and it was a really tough time. And the hockey team kind of came into town right at the time everybody was kind of struggling, and it really became a community kind of thing, and people just went nuts. I mean, if you Golden Knights stickers everywhere, and we go to the next year, and then we get the Raiders, and now this town we have football and we have hockey. In fact, both happening this weekend. We have football happening and hockey happening.
The Pro Bowl, the Pro Bowl.
The Pro Bowl, and then we got the hockey. I'm supposed to be doing something today with the NHL.
All right. I'm not going to tire your voice.
No, it's great
I know that your voice has been. You've been working on your voice the last couple of days, and I don't want to tire it out. So I'm going to not ask for too long-winded questions. Maybe the rest of the questions will be just yes or no, or you can just nod.
But it's been great having a football team. Football team's been great, and I got to know and really well John Gruden prior to his old debacle. But he's a good guy, great guy, and I was able to say, "You go to the Raiders games?" Well, I did when I knew coach.
Right, and so you have been able to catch a couple games, but you are an NFL fan. And we were talking a little bit about before the podcast started what an amazing run this has been these last couple of weeks. Really
unreal.
The Super Bowl.
These new young bucks that are coming in the league are destroying it. I mean, they're playing beyond great football like before that. Even like with the Montanas and Tom Brady's of those eras, they're already beaten all their records as rookies. So it's crazy.
But growing up in Florida,
Yeah.
And it was kind of before the Tampa Bay really
You
kind of took off, because Tampa Bay was a new expansion team
Right,
when we were kids. Because, like I said, we're the same age, and even though we look like children, we were around when the Tampa Bay Bucks were honestly an expansion team.
Damn, I was so handsome.
So was it Bucks or was it the Dolphins that you were a fan
Oh,
of?
it was definitely the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks was the Bucks. Definitely Dolphins. I grew up and that's all we watched, Dolphins. And the Bucks came in, I think, in 1976, I think. And I remember my dad and Elvis got one of those tour bus things and did the thing that I would never do again, get in a bus with a whole bunch of people who don't know and go over to Tampa and go to a game.
I do that every night, the tour
And
bus.
I said, well, yeah, now, oh, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like in a tour bus. I mean, not a tour bus, like you know what I mean?
Greyhound.
No, a bus with 100 people, 200 people in it.
Party bus.
Yeah. Yes, it was, but it wasn't even that. It was just, but anyway, that's not my cup. Even back then, I no my cup of tea. But, so we go, and I remember we're there, and I said to my dad, I said, I don't like I knew right away. I said, I'm a Dolphin. I'm not a Buck fan. He says, but look at this brand new team thing. I said, no, I don't like the sherbet color. I knew right away there's something about Tampa Bay really, that's not my team. The Dolphins are my team. So I've stayed true to heart for the Dolphins since I was born.
Well, I hope their coaching situation works out for next year.
I do too. Yeah, the whole thing's a mess. I hope it fixes itself.
Yeah. I mean, like, for all the amazing parts of the NFL season this year, because I've never been into it.
I know, yeah.
There's been some really lows. There has been lows of the lows and highs of the highs. But who can I ask for your special pick? Because you are in Vegas, so you know all the odds makers. Super Bowl pick for coming up. It'll be Bengals versus the Los Angeles Rams. And I know you don't want to alienate any of your fans, but who you leaning towards? Well,
I'll just do it as honest answer as I can. If I was a betting man, I would probably take the Rams, because I think the Rams have just their defense and this Arnold Darnold and another guy and what's his name too. There's like four amazing players on. Yeah. And then on the opposite side, you got such a great offense, and Matthew
Stafford is the
Stafford. But in my heart, my whole family's from Cleveland, so in my heart, I want to see the Bengals win. Yeah. Just because I always like underdogs.
Okay.
But
head says Rams, heart says Rams, heart says Bengals.
Right.
All right.
And I won't be disappointed either way. I think both teams are deserving to be in the game. I think both teams haven't won in a while, so I think it'll be kind of cool for either way. And I think the fact they've already gotten to this close, if the Bengals don't make it, they did a hell of a job this year. I mean, that young kid comes in for a year and gets hurt, and then he comes out and boom.
They beat our Raiders, and they beat my Raiders, and that was. I thought it came down to the last play of the game. I thought that was one of the closest games of all the playoff games so far. But my feeling about the Super Bowl, it's either going to be because I don't think we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl. Yeah, I guess next week we'll have another show, folks, where it'll be right before the Super Bowl. But my whole scenario situation is that Rams are either going to blow them out completely, not even a game, or like the Rams do, they're going to let Cincinnati hang around, and Cincinnati's going to squeak by. So Cincinnati, they either get blown out or they squeak by, and that's my call.
Well, that's a good way to, that's a great look at it, because it could honestly happen since you've been watching the last games. The Bengals, they've been sneaking around, man. They don't go away.
If you let them stick around, look what they did. I mean, and even if you let them blow you out, I mean, the KC had blown them out, and whatever happened in the second half with the defense, they just shut them down. So it was great.
Yeah, so we'll see. You never know. It should be an exciting game, that's for sure.
I have to be fair to Nita Strauss, who's our guitar player with Alice as well, and she plays guitar for the LA Rams. She plays at all the games, so I know we'll be siding with her. When if they do blow it out. But honestly, I'm kind of like you. My heart says a little bit Joey B and the moxie of what's the guy with the Jamar is the number one, the guy that's receiving
Chase?
for Chase, Jamar Chase, right? Oh, They have a connection, those two. It's like lead
yeah,
singer,
they
guitar
played
player
together, right? He brought it kind of like what's his name with Gronkowski. So they played together for so many years. So that was a smart move because he knows his rhythm and knows his patterns.
It's kind of like a lead singer and a lead guitar player that work in tandem.
Yeah, no, same. It's probably same analogy. Sure.
Have you ever had like a comedian that you feel that like whether you do shows together that you guys vibe off each other and like, hey, that's a great bill for us.
Unfortunately, sadly, I have to say, yeah, Louis Anderson. So
oh man, yeah,
he was not only probably my dearest friend in the comedy world, but there he is there.
Sweet shot.
He was a really, really dear friend. I mean, I could call him at any day, any time, ask him anything. That was maybe the hardest loss I've ever had to endure. When you someone like him, he was so close to, and I was at the hospital holding his hand like the day before, and
wow,
that was rough. And he was funny, and he was a guy that he and I could have done kind of a Laurel and Hardy kind of situation. You're looking at that picture, here's Big Louie,
right.
Here's little me, and we just worked so well together.
Well,
he was a brilliant comic. He could just talk, and he didn't have to write jokes. He could just read the phone book, and he would laugh.
So much praise coming out the last few weeks from comedians all over the world. I've been watching it and just giving him such props for being, one of the original guys. He's one of the old school original guys. And the comedians, a couple of years ago, it was musicians that took a lot of great musicians were passing away. It seems that comedians have just recently.
It's been a rough couple
start to the year.
And it's been a rough. It's,
and I know, but I don't want to harp on it at all. But I do find it awesome that you have that that special person that you guys can co-headline and
we talked not that long ago about doing shows, doing some road shows together. His humor and my humor were now I'd say similar. They just they would coexist nicely. He's so clean, and his jokes are so great. And then I would come up and be stupid and loud. And
well, you've always had that. I mean, has anyone ever gotten like vindictive of your style of comedy? Like even any fellow comedians say, "Oh, well, you're taking my act, or you're doing."
Well, they think when I first started, I wouldn't say a thing. When I first started doing my comedy, I got a lot of flack from a lot of, not if it just comics or if it was a flack from just in general, like the general audience would say, prop guy, or, there's this disdain a lot of times in which I never understood, because if whatever, depends on what you're doing. If you're doing, jazz, let's say, or you're doing rock, or you're doing this, what's the difference in me doing, props and visual stuff and you doing your thing? And one thing I liked about when I was first starting out, one of the most important things, they still like this now, but thievery. So that was one of the big things when you just start out. You don't steal other people's jokes. If you do, you're done, and people know it. Like comics are like, dude, you just did my act, or you did George Carlin's act, or so. That's one reason why I went with doing my props. I was like, I'm gonna do something so unique and so different that they're not gonna give me shit for that, because it's like, who else is carrying around dummy heads and a Crime Watch sign and a, you know what I mean?
And there's probably still some comedian out there that, hey, you took my act.
Yeah. Well, no one knew. I think they have at least come down to this thing because the act is so unique. But they definitely there was a stigma, and the thing that, if they were a monologist and then I was a prop comic, they was like, all right, that's, we're the lower food chain. No. But then you get someone like George Carlin, who's like, everybody's drink, and George Carlin says to me, "You're funny as shit." And I just never forgotten that. I said, that's where I think it was just around that time where I said to myself, consider the source kind of thing. Joe Schmo and sitting in his basement in Wisconsin is giving me a hard time. And then George Carlin says that I'm brilliant.
Well, I mean, I think
I immediately went
on that.
I immediately said, George Carlin said I'm funny. That's all I need to know. And so I just kept thinking of people like that, and Bill Maher's and the Jay Leno's and the David Letterman's. Everyone, that would come to me and say, you're funny. That was way more important to me than someone I don't know, people in my craft.
but it's so hard to do that as humans, for us to not just take the good parts, some people say, and focus on that. We always take the one comment that out of 99, nice positive things people say, you take the one where somebody is not positive, and you go, well, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Why is that?
Yep.
I mean, but I like that you do that, because I know that there's been some times that you have had seemingly maybe some controversy with some comedians. I remember there was a story I heard a while back about you and Bill Hicks, where Bill Hicks, you didn't know if you guys were on the same page, or he might have said some disparaging things, but then things did work out at the end, right? I mean,
he had made jokes for a while, and it was a great joke. He said he was struggling in comedy clubs, and he says, but they're draining lakes and putting in bleachers to see this guy Carrot Top. Which was really a funny line. So then I finally he's at this club in West Palm Beach, Florida, and he's not at the club. He's sick. He's actually in the comedy condo with cancer, and he's got, like 2 weeks to live. I don't even know this. I'm working, and the lady working the club I happened to say something to the effect of, I could tell Bill Hicks, hates me. And she says, Bill doesn't hate you. And I said, Jade, you told me this. She says, this is not a joke. It's all meant to, happened and should have happened. Between shows, I'm setting up for the second show. I go out to get coffee to go back and do the second show. And she brings Bill Hicks over from the condo. And he can barely walk. He's going to die in like 2 weeks. And he comes over to me, and I'm like, what up? And he goes, I just wanted to tell you, I don't hate you. Dude, it's my job. I'm a comic. I'm being an asshole. You're great, and don't ever think you're not great. You do great. I said, Bill, you shouldn't have got out of bed. You're like sick. He's like, no, I wanted to make sure we clean this shit up before I fucking die. Oh, so he really wanted to come clean with me and say, you know what, you're a brilliant comic. I don't hate you. And so it was really a beautiful, sweet moment.
That is actually, with that beautiful, sweet moment, we're going to take a really quick break, and then we will come back with all the things that are happening right now for you in Vegas and what we're celebrating now. But first, we're going to talk about here. This could be an actual prop for you, man. How about this? This is one of our sponsors. That's CliC Gear. There are readers. And Vic, why don't we run that commercial? We'll be right back with Carrot Top. We are here in the trenches. Thank you. Hello, Roxie Guitar Army. For those of you that have been faithfully following the podcast, you may have noticed that recently I've been changing up my eyewear from week to week. And today we are happy to announce that CliC Eyewear is now an official sponsor of the In the Trenches podcast. They've even given us a special discount code that we can now pass on to our supporters. CliC has provided me with both readers and blue blocker protection eyewear that are durable, stylish, and convenient. What sets them apart from the rest of the reader world? The catch is in the CliC. They are the world's first magnetic reader, which makes them hard to lose and even harder to break. If you're interested in getting a pair or two of your own, check out the discount link located in the description. Never lose your readers again, because with CliC Eyewear, they're always around you. Now let's get back into the trenches and back to some more rock and roll. There you go.
That's great.
Well, I will get you a pair of these if you'd like.
Those are really cool.
Infiltrated into the act, or you can just use them to read. I don't know. We're the same age, I imagine. Are you 2.0?
I'm just 2s.
Oh, you're 2.0. That's
2.0,
yeah, 1.5. If you hear this incessant beeping, and I'm not sure if our producer hears that, I'm on a new computer, folks, and my wife in Sweden has no idea that I shouldn't be on this group chat that she's in, and she's it's ding 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 going on in my ears. So there you go, folks. We are here in the trenches with Carrot Top. We are talking about his past from Florida all the way to Las Vegas. Did you ever live in Los Angeles?
I did live in Los Angeles, yeah. I've been for about 5-6 years.
What years were that?
I'm going to say 90, around the 90s.
Early grunge era.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, because I got the gig. What happened was I had my house in Florida, and then I went to LA, and then I started doing a little bit of Vegas. So I thought, I could just fly from Vegas there quick,
And then I got the permanent gig, and then I had to move out of LA because I was,
take that Southwest flight, huh? Again, with all the strippers going over there, all the rock and rollers going.
I like that flight. Land in Burbank you feel like you're coming up like a Bob Hope movie.
Oh man, we used to do that gig a lot. I used to do that flight a lot because we used to play Pinkies. Do you remember the club? Yeah. Do you remember, I don't look for it, folks. I don't think it's there anymore, but it's not like it's more of the way of Tommy Lee's dick, I think, at this point. You could not see Pinkies, the opposite of Tommy Lee's dick. It was like weird. It was sort of in some sort of weird crevice off the strip and stuff like that. But we would always play there. That was sort of our place that we'd play. And you've been playing Vegas for over 15 years now. And by the way, this is a question, and we should probably run the animation, Vic, if you'd like, because this is where people from the audience and people from our chat and everyone that's been supporting the podcast, they found out that you were going to be on. They wanted to ask questions directly to you. So this is from Kathy Grant. Let the people speak, Vic. What do you say? All right. So you've been in Vegas for over 15 years now, and this is from Kathy Grant. Do you believe the Luxor Casino is cursed? Why would it be cursed? Because you've been there. It's been pretty successful for you, she says. Have you ever seen ghosts on floor 10 and 26?
No, I have never, but I never leave my backstage dressing room because I am frightened at the place.
There it is. I remember back in the years, the elevators were weird to go up. You felt like you were going at a diagonal, right?
Inclinator.
So that is in fact fiction. There you go. And here we go. Another question from Kathy Grant, because there you go. Do you gamble? If so, do you play slots or tables?
I have never gambled. I never gambled probably once in my entire life. Literally.
Another similarity that we have. When I go to Vegas, people ask, "Are you winning?" I go, "Yeah, I'm winning because I'm not playing."
Yeah, I don't. It's not that I don't. I'm not. I don't know how to count. I'm not a good adder. That's I'm not good at math. That's one reason. Two, I don't like smoke. I have bad lungs, so I can't be around smoke. And just a lot of people makes me kind of, which is weird. We're in show business, but being surrounded by a lot of people coming in different directions is kind of scary to me. So
you're a little claustrophobic around crowds.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, even if I go to a restaurant, I have to sit towards the door looking at me. I can't sit with the door behind me in case who's going to come in and just,
Yeah, if someone comes in and sprays the place. That's
right. So I'm very in a sense claustrophobic. My friend used to have a great joke. He said, I'm claustrophobic and agoraphobic. I have the fear of being outdoors and this fear of indoors, so I just hang out most of the time in a doorway.
Well, then you're good for earthquakes. So that was the only advice growing up in California that they would give. They'd say, just go to a doorway.
That was one of my props. I built a bed when I was doing the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. I built a bed in a doorway. It was like a doorway, and then I had built a bed. So I said, this is when you sleep in that, so you're always safe from an earthquake, because they always say go to a doorway.
I love it. Vic, do you have that clip? Can you put that clip of that carrot cop in the doorway? No, he just says he does not have that clip. Sorry.
There's the kiss heads.
That is a kiss tongue. Is that not really your tongue? That has to be a prop tongue.
That's yeah.
God, please. That would be up there with Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee's schlong and that tongue, boy, you'd be destined for stardom.
Now there I am
spoon feeding Gene Simmons. All right. So you do have a let me ask you that. Did you ever play an instrument?
Drums.
Okay, cool. It's like all the great, and you're a front man as well. A lot of great front men start off on the drums. I've had so many people on the podcast, whether you talk about Steven Tyler starting with drums, and there you are strumming some sort of guitar. Is that more?
Yeah, we were in Nashville, I think, and that was like something.
Right. Well, here we go. Here's my last question from Kathy Grant. Thank you very much for letting the people speak. Have you been on the Strat rides and did the sky jump?
I've done almost every one of those. I just did something for for something for CNN. I think it was. They were doing that thing. What do you call it? The New Year's Eve bash, bringing in the New Year, and they went to they strapped me in one of those things, and I went flying down it was horrible.
Stratosphere?
I'm afraid of that. It was at the Stratosphere.
Okay. All right.
Scared the crap out of me. And then I was on one with Gene Simmons when we filmed Family Jewels. It was one of the rides that goes around the outside of it comes off like a big hook and goes, and I'm like, I think I'm literally having a heart attack, right? But we're filming and I'm strapped in this thing and Gene's across me and Gene's, he's kind of screaming, but I'm like, I'm trying to tell the guy like stop the ride, I'm going to die. And we're just going and we're supposed to be doing dialogue. And I couldn't even tell my lines because I was like, I'm going to have a heart attack. So
there is. I know that you and Gene have you have a history of you kind of pulled his leg a couple times, and I did recently see sort of a story about that. How did that go?
Well, Gene came back to my show and he says, "Hey, man, this is my best Gene Simmons impression."
Yeah, dude,
He says, you have seemed very successful and do all these things. What do you do to make money outside of comedy? And I said, nothing, I'm a loser. I don't know what else to do. And he said, well, you must make money somehow other way, And I said, I mean, I make a little bit of money here and there from some, these jingles that I do. He said, jingles? And I said, yeah. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I did this one, from By Menon. And he said
deodorant.
What? And he said, what? I said, yeah, By Menon. And he's looking at me. He's like, how did you come up? How did you, wait, how, why? And I said, my buddy had a thing in his garage and we were out messing around and Menon people had a campaign. They were looking for a jingle. Everyone send in your jingle. And my buddy and I came up with By Menon and we sent it in, right? And we won. And so, he said, do you get paid for that? I said, yeah, they still pay. I mean, they don't run the commercials as much as they used to. But
you might be bad with numbers. Gene Simmons, exact opposite. Really good with numbers. So he's just thinking numbers.
And so he had I had him go for 15 minutes. He was like, that's amazing. And I said, yeah. And then he's like, wow, I would never have known. And then I said, anything else? And I said, yeah, certs. He's like, the mint. He goes, yeah. I said, I came up with the Retsin. They added now with Retsin. And he just looked at me for a second. He says, you're fucking me. I said, yeah. He says, but not the Menon thing. I said, no, both. I just completely fucking shit. He was like, he was going to kill me.
I've kind of always wondered about what Retsin is. I think it's
what is Retsin?
I think Certs is actually pulling one on us. I don't think
absolutely. They did. So we buy. Oh, now with Retsin, so we have to get it because don't get the one that didn't have Retsin.
Yeah. And 4 out of 5 dentists, I think actually 4 of them, I think, again, like that Joe Rogan letter, I don't think a lot of them were actual dentists.
Yeah.
I think
the 4 out of 5 dentists is one dentist with no teeth. The 4 out of 5 would go, don't ask that guy.
One was a podcaster, apparently. So speaking of, we'll do another animation because you have props, we have animation little clips. So this is the one that got away. And I have a question coming up right after that. Vic, you want to run that? So the inspiration behind that actually came up from Stanley Gable, and I just found out recently that Stanley Gable passed just in the last couple of weeks. And our thoughts, our prayers, our good energy going out to him and to his family. And he was the inspiration behind this question, though, because I want to ask the guest about a piece of gear, and this in this case would be a prop that you wish you still had, but somehow it was lost, stolen, or you had to sell it at some point because you needed the money. So is there a prop that you've used in your act that you wish is the one that got away?
Well, I had my entire act burned down years ago in Birmingham. I was playing over the weekend in Birmingham Comedy Club, and they had a remote radio show, and they all broke for lunch, and it was an ice storm, and so we all went back to the hotel. And then the club owner called and said, listen, I'm going to give you guys a call later this afternoon around, showtime, 6 o'clock or so, and let you know if we're going to be doing a show or not doing a show. So we go back and we know already it's 3:30 and you can't move. Everything is just iced in, snowed in. So we all pretty much assumed. Of course, then they made the call and said, no, there's no show. I said, well, we kind of figured that. So we all just got drunk. And next morning I woke up and we got the news that the club burned down. And the weird part about it was I didn't even think about my act being in there. I just thought, oh my God, the club burned down. Like, how bad? And they said, down, gone. Everything's gone. And I'm like, oh my God, I love that club. And then my assistant says, dude, your act. And it took me like, isn't that weird? Just instant, like, oh,
and shit. Part of your act was a can of gasoline.
Yeah, my whole act gone. I mean, all the like the things that I could never even imagine I had in the show. 5-6 trunks full of stuff that took me all this years to build. And I had a Tonight Show spot that Monday, and this was Friday night. So I had called to call the Tonight Show and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to do the show because I have no act, and I can't even go somewhere to build a new act because I'm iced in. So it was like Wednesday. We still were stuck in this hotel. And I watched it on TV, and I watched Jay Leno go, hey, we had Carrot Top supposed to be a night through the fire. So then I
do the show.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to build that whole?
Well, it's a good story because all the other comics when I lived in Charlotte, it was a hub for a lot of comics because all these clubs were there. So there's about 50 comics that lived in Charlotte, North, all that area. They all came together and helped me, like a scavenger hunt kind of deal. You go get a rubber chicken and tennis racket. You go get and we all came back and we in my garage and kind of built back enough to what I could remember I had. But there were so many things that I've never had to sell one or lose, but I did. I lost everything. That was.
Do you ever think that perhaps Gallagher was an arsonist as well?
Well, that was the joke I said the next morning. I said they found Rip Taylor's matches.
There you go. I thought it. Oh,
there's
wow.
Gallagher.
There you go. There would be no podcast without a Gallagher appearance, I guess. There is another place in Birmingham that is very famous for rock and roll, and I don't know if you've ever been there, called the Nick. And that it has the same sort of vibe.
Wait,
Nick,
where is it? And where in Chicago?
It's in Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, because that's
it's called the Vic.
Yeah, the Nick.
The Nick.
Isn't that, you said Birmingham, Alabama is where everything burned down?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That was years ago. That was in like 1991 or something like that.
So you had to build it all back, man. Well, I'm glad you've been able to build it back because now you have everything at the Luxor, and I'm sure there's probably fire extinguishers at.
We hope. We hope so. We try to. We sure and pray.
Well, let's talk about that and how people, not just me, because we're coming out there with the Alice Cooper band really soon, and we're going to be, I think it's going to be Alice Cooper and Ace Frehley out in Las Vegas, and we'd love to come to the show. But tell us now the best way for the people that are listening and watching, how to follow you, how to get in touch, and how, when they are in Vegas, how to get out to the show. So if you can put up your,
I think we can get you go to Carrot Top Live there. That's my Instagram. Facebook is right there. Carrot Top at Real Carrot Top is Twitter, and then of course the last one is that TikTok. I don't know what that is. But yeah, you can go to carrottop.com for sure and get tickets, or you can go to theluxor.com as well. But if you go on carrottop.com, it'll have a little place right on my website too to get actually go right in to buy tickets.
So what I'm just curious because you do live a bit of a rock star lifestyle, although it is in the residency way of things, but you get to travel. It's just different. You're going constantly home every couple weeks from Florida to Vegas. Is that kind of the way?
About a week a month.
Okay. And then when you're in Vegas, are you treated like a rock star around town, or is it kind of just like you put your hair back and everyone goes?
No, I mean, I've been here for so long. I'm kind of a staple. So people, hey, of course they say, Carrot Top. But I think when I go back to Orlando, it's kind of interesting too because, there you are kind of like, oh my God, this Carrot, like it's here knowing like if you like when you walk through LA, no one gives a crap. They see, you're having coffee with Jack Nicholson, they don't care about Carrot Top kind of thing.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you've really, I think I think it is a Mick Jagger quote. If you hang around long enough, people start to notice you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the longevity factor, I think, is what's giving you that, it's giving you that legitimacy of like, okay, I have to go see a Carrot Top show. I know that's happening with Alice because there's a lot of people that are coming even to this day that have never been to an Alice Cooper concert because they've just heard now that they have to go see Alice Cooper.
Yeah, well, I think I don't know. I think, longevity definitely, sometimes you got to get believers, in a sense. A lot of people say that to me too. They'll say, I got to be honest with you. I didn't want to come to your show, or my husband's like, I hate Carrot Top, and I said, oh God, so I drug him here, and oh my God, you're now our favorite comic. So you always get those kind of weird, oh no, where are we going with this? And it really ends up they had a great time. But you never cannot get those ones where they come right out of the gate and say something rotten. You're like, oh man. Why can't you just say you had a great time? They got to say, why? We hated you. We despised you for so long. I mean, really
you don't know how much.
Yeah, you don't know how much.
So all these pictures that Vic's putting up, I'm thinking that those are coming from the meet and greets that you're doing and that you're offering. Is that true?
Yes, that's the meet and greets that we have before the show. We do that every night, and it's great. You get to meet the people, and they come out and they're excited. And
is it pre or post makeup, or what do you guys do it?
We do it right before the show.
Right before the show. Okay, so
after the show, fresh. I'm like,
yeah. See, it's different with Coop. He likes to do it when he's already sweaty and he's already got all the eye makeup kind of smeared and stuff, and he'll do it after the show.
Yeah.
But we haven't really gotten into them doing because we're just getting back in there. That's a cool shot right there.
Yeah, these guys came to the show dressed in their.
I love it. Well, you know what? If Vegas doesn't treat you like a celebrity, here at In the Trenches, we will always treat you like a celebrity because we're proud to have you in the trenches. We're also proud to have, as a celebrity, our fan of the week. So along with Carrot Top, this week's fan of the week, Vic, let's... That's right. It's Troy Brewer, folks. Troy Brewer is our fan of the week, and there he is. I always say he looks a little bit like Terry Bradshaw. I'll call him the Terry Bradshaw of rock and roll. He's got some Roxie shirts on there. He's always been supportive. We saw him this last week. We in Wabash, Indiana. I don't know if you've ever.
I've been to Wabash.
All right, it's a bash, and he bought the whole entire front row. So. Oh. Yeah, it was very nice of him. So because of you supporting, you are our fan of the week. And if you'd like to be a fan of the week of In the Trenches, take this episode right now that you're watching with Carrot Top, pass it on to all of your friends, and
buy the whole front row.
And buy the whole front row. And you know what? Go to the Luxor and stay on floor 10 or 26, and then just make your residency over there because I'm going to be there. I'm telling you, I'm going to be there in a few months, but I guess it's next month. It's going to be in March. Yeah. So 2 months, but next week I will be on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and I will be at the MORC. There you go. Alice is playing there. We're going to be there with Buck Cherry, as Carrot Top is a bit of a fan of Buck Cherry. No?
Yeah. I love Buck Cherry.
Okay.
On a plane with cocaine.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing about Buck, about the singer of Buck Cherry. He started out AA, and he's always been AA and NA, and he's just a skinny sort of great front man from the beginning. And I mean, how do you feel about Nickelback? Because you've been compared before with Nickelback of what comedy?
Well, no, that came up to be the Nickelback of comedy in a way because of one quote. I'm really good friends with Nickelback, and I've been to their show, and one time they had me come up and toss these beers. It's kind of a cool thing. If you hold a solo cup just right, you can throw it like 500 feet full.
A red solo cup.
Yeah, and they showed me how you just take and you go like this, and you just go like this.
I'm a tattoo place.
And you like that, you throw it. I mean, like far, like wham, and it goes all the way. In 20 row anyway, so I was just having so much fun doing this, and 99% of them people catch the whole thing, right?
That's not a solo cup. That's just a plastic cup. Oh, actually, this is my prop.
Well,
you're talking about the red solo cups, the big.
But maybe that might work too. I guess you fill beer, you hold the tip. Yeah, you just kind of it's kind of distance, and it goes flying
without anything in it. It has to have liquid in it, though. I would think it has to have some sort of mass in it.
Right? Yeah, no, it's just weight of the beer.
Yeah, okay. So there has to be.
But going to the Nickelback thing. So what happened? What happened was I went to the show, and it was it was awesome. I mean, it's 2 hours of just, I mean, it was a great show. And they had where the band comes in the center, does the whole jam in the middle of the arena, goes back up. I mean, it was a full production, pyro, everything.
You forget that every album they have 2 or 3 amazing, huge hits. So when you pack that into a show, it's like hit after hit after hit.
So I thought of, when I said it one day in an interview, I said, I remember right after I'd seen their tour, they were getting so much grief. Everyone saying Nickelback sucks, Nickelback. And I'm like, they apparently haven't been to a Nickelback show because it was phenomenal, right? And my friend said it's the same thing they say about you. You know, we go do a great, you know, we go on the road and do a big tour. We're on the tour bus, and then someone slams me, and my friend's like, you know. So I said, I'm like the Nickelback of comedy. I used it in the sense of I don't get respect. I still do a good job, but I don't get the respect that the Nickelback should get. Better respect than what they're getting. They're a good band. Right. They're a solid band.
I think that respect is coming definitely well, you know, for you.
Yeah, well, I think it is for me, but because I've been around so fucking long, it's like they have to, like you said, you kind of have to. At some point, you got to say, okay, he's part of the club. He's been coming to the goddamn country club for 25 years. Let him in.
Well, if I can, hopefully, I can aspire to be the Carrot Top of rock and roll at some point.
What I hope it was not nice, but I didn't want to be. That wasn't, when I was saying Nickelback of comedy was definitely not an insult on Nickelback. You know, I hope they didn't think I was making fun of them.
No, that's good. And Nickelback has come to our show. I think the last time they came to a show was in Australia or New Zealand, and I hope that actually you do get to tour in Europe and do that.
Yeah,
all.
I do too.
It does seem that you're kind of busy right now, Carrot Top. You're kind of busy up until what year? And you just signed something with the Luxor that's keeping you busy all through this year, or even
next 3 years, I think 4 years.
2025. All right, up there. Well, you know what? You're welcome to come back here. We can talk more about rock and roll. We can talk about how those Raiders are going to do in your lovely town. I really appreciate you coming on in the Trenches, Carrot Top. Having a great day today. I know that, like, again, if you want to follow Carrot Top on his Instagram, it's always very entertaining, inspiring, and I look forward to your posts all the time. There are all the
I think my Tommy Lee one I put in there last night. It's funny. Funny when you see. It's funny with this because it's got a sound effect, and Tommy Lee's.
Well, when I check this out, and as you say inspiring, it is very inspiring, and that's usually the way I leave every single podcast. Is there something that you can tell our audience that's helped you sort of get through this thing called life? Any sort of inspiring quote that you sort of live by, and that you want to pass on to our listeners?
Well, I mean, I get. People get certainly like, you mean there's maybe something someone said to me one time?
Yeah, or something like, it's something that you sort of, a creed that you sort of go by, you know? I know.
Well, I have a lot of those. I mean, you know, one is just, but mine's not that philosophical. Mine's just be kind. It's so much more fun to be kind to people and be nice than it is to not. And it's so easy. I mean, literally, even if you're, you know, every day people getting in the, you know, something set off a spark, and it's always like, man, you know what? I'm alive. It's a beautiful day. I've got my job. I got my family. I got my dog here. I've got my
killer chandelier back there.
A killer chandelier. I mean,
you got Celine Dion.
But I try to just live. There's my family. My nephew stole my hairdo. There's my doggy. Hello, Boo Bear.
Is that the one that just went to the vet? Because I just saw the post this morning.
That's the one that went to the vet.
And I know it is. Now, this is one last fact or fiction. In your kitchen, there's a sign from your mother, Donna. Always keep your beautiful imagination and your exquisite humor. Is that
right there?
Okay, so that's a fact, folks. We end with a fact, and there it is. I love it. And that to me is inspiring enough to go on. And I look forward to meeting you in person when we come out there in Vegas in just a couple months.
Likewise. Yeah.
Right. Well, thanks for taking the time, Carrot Top. And
buddy.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. And again, if you want to be fan of the week, just make sure you promote this episode, and we will see you next week. I'll be on the boat. And again, I'm Ryan Roxie. Until next time.
The next week you'll be like, so we're on the boat.
I'll be like this. Enjoy the ride. See ya.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.